All right, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night baseball webinar, and thank you for joining us again. This has become kind of the highlight of everybody's week, I think, is getting together on these Thursday nights and seeing each other and obviously harassing each other and talking a little bit of baseball. We would like to welcome Scott Taylor tonight, who is our guest speaker, and I'll actually have Hector do an introduction on him. But Scott, I do want to say on behalf of the New Mexico Officials Association, thank you so much for being with us on a Thursday night and spending some time here with our baseball umpires. We've got people from all across the state, as well as a couple of out-of-staters who are former officials of ours. But once you're a New Mexico Officials Association family member, you always are, regardless of your zip code. So we're happy to have them with us, and we're happy to have you with us. Hector, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, guys. Thanks for. Before I turn it over to Scott and introduce him, I just wanted to update you guys on our calls. As you know, this past Monday night, we had a rules and mechanics call. Because the Memorial Day next week, we're going to take that off. We will have our normal Thursday night virtual happy hour next Thursday night back at 7, correct, Dana? And then we will continue our rules and mechanics the following Monday at 7, Dana? 7:30.
Yes, 7:30 for the rules and 7 for the regular Thursday night.
So we'll send that information out. But tonight, guys, I'm really excited. He's a great friend of mine. You know, he's staying up late. He's in the East Coast, right? Or the Midwest, I should say. He's in Indianapolis, Indiana. He is the NCAA Division II National Umpire Coordinator. Great friend of mine, Scott Taylor. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Hector. I appreciate the invitation. This is the third one of these this week, and Dana, I've been with Brent Rice and Jeff Clough both this week, your counterparts in other states. So I love doing this, and I congratulate you guys for all getting together and still being a brotherhood and sisterhood and a group that wants to get together and talk about officiating, because in this time that we're in right now, not knowing when we're going to come back, it's kind of cool to see this kind of gathering going on.
Scott, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started your umpire career? I love it. I saw it on video a couple of weeks ago. And then tell us a little bit of what you do now for the NCAA and umpires.
Sure, Hector. Well, being in Indianapolis and so I'm close to the NCAA offices here in Indianapolis, which means they call me a lot to ask me questions, which is not necessarily always a good thing. But I've been in this role now as the National Coordinator Division II baseball for the last 4 years. Came from a 38-year on-field career. Started off working American Legion baseball. Started off actually when I was 13, honestly. Came from a small town in Oklahoma, about 8,000 people, called Blackwell, Oklahoma. It's just south of the Kansas border on I-35 between Oklahoma City and Wichita. And from a small town, and from those of you who may be from small towns in New Mexico, every small town's got that townie umpire, that one umpire that's always at every single game. That was my father, my dad, Adrian. And when I got done, now I was not particularly a good baseball player, so they say those that can't do teach, those that can't do start umpiring, and that's kind of what it happened with me. So at age 13, I went out on a 10-year-old Little League baseball field. The thing I will tell you is I was making $5 a game. That'll tell you how old I am. I just turned 60 in December, but I was making $5 a game. I worked with my father, 10-year-old baseball, and my first base job was when I turned 17. So 13, 14, 15, and 16 years, nothing but plate jobs. Now, I like to tell everybody that was because my dad was lazy. He liked to say it before he passed away that he knew what he was doing to me, trying to make me an umpire. But I saw a lot of balls and strikes when I was young, and went to college, decided before I got my degree after my junior year that I was going to pursue one time. So I went to umpire school. I went to the Bill Kinnaman Umpire School, which was a predecessor to Brakeman and Evans and 2 or 3 others. It became like 2 or 3 other schools. But I went in San Bernardino, California. I was just turned 21 and was fortunate enough to get a job out of, well, fortunate or not fortunate, I haven't figured out what that was, but it turned into a career in baseball for me. So I spent 5 years in the minor leagues. I was in the Pioneer Rookie League in Montana, Alberta, Canada, and Idaho my first year in 1982. Went to the Florida State League in 83 and 84 and the Texas League in 85 and 86 before I gave it up to start a career. My degree, which I went back and got, was in radio, television, communications. I ran radio stations for about 32 years. So that was my career. But after I got out of professional baseball and out of the minor leagues, I went into college baseball. But I do credit my father for giving me my start. And Hector, you know the story, and we've talked about it on a couple of different occasions. It was something for me that connected me to my father. Some people do it through golf. Some people do it through playing sports. With my dad and I, it was through officiating. And I was fortunate enough to get to work some very good assignments very early in my life and in my career. My first Division I baseball college game, I was 19 years old and a sophomore in a junior college, and happened to be at a game and somebody went down and couldn't work. And Gary Ward, who a former New Mexico person, said that, found out I was in the stands, had seen me work some American Legion baseball, and said, you need to come out here and work. And worked a plate job in Stillwater, Oklahoma, when I was 19 years old. Not something you'll ever see, probably ever. I was just fortunate enough to do it. So then went through the professional ranks, then came back and started working college baseball. Believe it or not, and this is sad for me to say in front of you guys, I've never, ever in my entire life worked a high school baseball game. Never did. Worked summer baseball, and then went straight into college baseball when I was 18 and into professional baseball. So never been on a high school baseball field. So if you're going to ask me about Federation rules tonight, forget it. I do not know them. I can't help you. But I can give you to Brent Rice, who knows rules about everything in Michigan. So there you go. So that's kind of the synopsis of my career. I was on the field for 38 years. At 54, I came off the field. It was an opportunity for me to become an assigner. I became an assigner for a Division II conference here in the Midwest. Was there for 2 years, and then the NCAA came and called and said, we'd like you to apply for the national coordinator's position. I've had that now for 4 years. So it's been a good ride. Baseball's been very, very good to me. It's given me a lot of places to go. It's given me gave me chances to go to Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, a lot of places that I would have never, ever gone, Colombia, had it not been for baseball. And so baseball opened up an entirely different world to me. And I have my father to thank for it, because he's the one who gave me my start when I was young.
Awesome, Scott. And I was on your call on Tuesday night, and I love how you're a great leader. Can you talk about, the leadership skills that we need and how we can use those to be a good crewmate or a good crew chief out on the field with our partners?
I think, Hector, one of the things that we talked about a couple of nights ago on that call, and it's something that I tell umpires all the time. Right now, when we're not working games, this is a time that I feel like every umpire should be working on leadership skills. First of all, I'm always asking people, what are you reading right now? It's important to me. Personal development is very, very important to me. I want to know what people are reading. I want to know what they're doing to better themselves and become leaders. we have a lot of umpires out there today, but we don't have a lot of leaders. That's really prevalent in Division I baseball. When you continue to look at it over the last 5 or 6 years, you're seeing the same 5, 6, 7 guys who are crew chiefs every single year. And it's because there's not being anything to be done to develop leadership. And I think it's so important. It's things that Dana, you and I would love to have some conversations with you about this. I talked to Jeff. I talked to Robert Hollowell in Mississippi. I talked to Brent in Michigan. I talked to our people here in Indiana, Sandy. It's just something that I think is so important, that you can't lead people unless you can lead yourself. And I think that the things you do to personally develop will help you lead yourself, which will in turn make you a leader of others. And when you step on a baseball field, there's a type of leadership that I look for that is not arrogant. Too many people walk on a baseball field and I see it and I'll turn around and leave. You see them stick their chest out and they strut on the field and they want to make sure everybody knows that they're working that game that day. And here I am. The same axiom is true today that it was and has been forever for umpires. I want to go work a baseball game where nobody knew I was even there. And I think in today's society, we've become sort of a me society, and we want to sometimes make it about us when it's not. It's about the game. It's about the kids playing the game. And the more that we are able to not insert ourselves into situations, actually the better umpire you have become. I tell people that all the stinking time. It's important to me that, and if I have a person who I think can lead, and I think a person who's a great umpire but not a very good leader, and I've got a great leader who's a very average umpire, I'll take the great leader who's an average umpire, because I want somebody to lead not only your crew, but you need to lead everybody, the players, the coaches, the fans, everybody down the right path. And it's become so important in today's society with where we are as a society. You see all the baseball problems. You see the parents and assaults of officials and things like that. And baseball really is a microcosm of today's society. And how you're able to diffuse situations and deal with situations is where the rubber meets the road when you become an official. And it's the most important thing, much more important than ball strikes, safe outs to me.
You know, we talk about it and all the Zooms and stuff that we have, Scott. We talk about, you know, we have the umpire, or we have the officials who have been doing this for a long time. You know, and they're done going to clinics. They're done, you know, learning. They want to do it their own way. How does that, with our umpire shortage, how does that hurt those young guys or young ladies that we're trying to bring up? You know, what can we do with those type of people?
Okay, so I see a lot of veterans on the screen here. So I'll give the first message to the veterans. If you are not mentoring a younger umpire, and Dana, in the recruitment of umpires, everybody bring one. I mean, do you imagine how much of an official shortage we would not have if everybody just took the time to bring one with you and mentor and teach them? It's so important to mentor, and you got to teach them, but you got to teach them the right way. There are some veterans that I do not want to teach younger umpires because they're going to teach them wrong, and I can identify that pretty quick. But if you have a servant's mentality to the game, I think it's really important that you teach the younger people what you know and leave the game better than what you found it when you got here. It's something. I do the Division II national coordinator's job, and everybody thinks I make a lot of money. Okay, I don't. It's a $10,000 a year gig. which is, so yeah, I have real jobs too. I gave up 25 to 30,000 when I came off the field when I was 54, 6 years ago. And that 25 to 30,000 has now become $45,000 and $50,000 in a college spring season. I have a lot of friends that lost a lot of money when COVID-19 hit, and it really hurt them. There's a lot of people who are umpiring full time now. I don't get it. I don't see it. I mean, if you can, great. I probably could because I have a really strong wife who works for a university that makes a good living. So I could have done that, but she wouldn't have had it at all. I think that this is a secondary. It's not a profession. It's an avocation. And I think you have to treat it as such. But at the same time, you have to treat it professionally. So there's that mix. There's that fine line of, okay, I'm a high school umpire, and you guys probably make pretty decent money as high school umpires. I know a lot of states make pretty good money. There's a lot of times I've sat and gone, okay, I'm making $400 for this college game, but I'd have a lot less crap if I was only working the $85 high school game. And I'd be closer to home. You know what? Relative. Everybody's got a level. Be the best umpire you can be at the level you're at that day. Just because you're a Division I college umpire doesn't mean you can't go out and work bases in a high school game and help somebody else get better. That's what it's all really about, is the passing of knowledge to the next generation, because you all know we're already running at a very critical low for officials, not just in baseball, but in everything. And we have to be able to walk younger people through this, because the millennial crowd has very little patience or tolerance for the crap that we put up with as officials. And so it's getting harder and harder to recruit those people. So we have to make a concentrated effort to be able to do that. And your sons and your daughters and your friends and the catcher you happen to be working behind that day. Catchers are the best umpires. I truly believe that. If you've caught baseball games at a high level, you should be recruiting catchers to come join the brotherhood. You should. They are the next level for me. Every college game, every high school game, I walk up to a catcher and a coach and I'll say, hey, look, have you ever thought about umpiring? And get them involved in a youth program, in a summer youth program, and bring them through the paces, bring them through the steps, and make them better, help them get better. It's the most important thing right now. Or not only do we worry about working one man or one person games, we'll start worrying about whether or not computers are taking over our jobs. It's coming to an extent with balls and strikes. And they're going to drag me kicking and screaming to that philosophy. I still never going to be convinced. But if we continue down the path we are going down, it's inevitable. It's going to have to happen and become a part of our fabric in officiating. Because right now we need bodies, and if we don't get the bodies, then the computers are next.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. So a couple more questions here, guys. And remember, if you guys have questions, you guys can type them in the chat box, or you guys can text me if you don't feel comfortable or you're shy to typing. Don't worry about it. Closed group here. Just shoot me the questions and we'll ask Scott. Scott, so you see a lot of film. Here in New Mexico, we work 2-person. I don't know how much 2-person games you actually see or get to evaluate on film, but can you tell us, either mechanically, what do you see that umpires, what mistakes do you see a lot on video with either mechanics or, anything like that?
Honestly, I don't worry about mechanics very much. Honestly, Hector, I worry more about positioning. Getting in the right place to make the right call. I think that sometimes we as a crew get lazy and don't put forth the best effort to get the best look at calls, and that's really tough for me when I'm watching games on film. And I do it when I'm focused on the entire country. I watch a lot of games on the internet. There's a lot of pretty good broadcasts on the internet, and you can see a lot of things. Being